Welcome to Transformation Tuesday. This is the podcast that's about spiritual awakening. And a few months ago, when I started this podcast, it kind of had a different intention behind it. I really wanted to uncover the mystery and the myth behind Tantra and kind of dispel the misconceptions around Tantra, that Tantra is only about sex, or that Tantra is somehow going to be some weird, creepy thing that is all about sexuality. Through these interviews and reaching out to different people, I have found some really amazing individuals that have really been able to highlight just the true depth of what Tantra has to offer, the spiritual path that Tantra has to offer. And so today I have a very special guest, really excited to bring to you guys. Today I have Briana Rice, and I just met Briana Rice just a month ago.
Yeah.
And I was immediately drawn to Briana. She is got an incredibly radiant personality. And it was clear to me right from the moment we met that she had a deep spiritual understanding of tantric principles. And then she shared with me that she teaches from a Buddhist lineage of Tantra, which is definitely very different from my own teachings and my own lineage. And so Briana also shared with me that she is a pageant winner and the reigning pageant queen. I'll let her tell you a little bit more about that. She's an incredibly empowered person. And so without further ado, Briana, would you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Okay, greetings and gratitude. Thank you, first of all, Shiva J, for bringing me on to this show. And thank you for that wonderful introduction. And I just kind of love to already see where the journey of your podcast has gone, from dispelling Tantra to focusing on the path and awakening. And I think the light that I radiate is from my awakening. And that's probably how we connected. So a little bit about my I ams. I have a lot of I ams in the world, but I love to say that I am love. I am love because I have healed. But I am a developmental biologist, which gives me the analytical side of what Tantra is. Because as you know, Tantra is a spiritual science. I probably started the Tantric path with my ego, thinking about sex and things. When I became a teacher, I wanted to learn more about that. I am also a very spiritual person. I've always loved God, been deeply spiritual, deeply in the church, but just my learnings, they were a lot fear-based. And I found a path of love through Tantra that has helped me grow, helped me awaken. And yes, as you shared, I learned from a Buddhistic lineage. I'm in the Arinda School of Love under Dr. Natalie Henrich. And what I love about that, a lot of times people ask you, like, where's your lineage? Who's your Lama? The pathway that we chose is not necessarily about the lineage. It's about the principles. It's about going within, but it is a deeply spiritual path about finding your oneness with God through Tantra.
I love that explanation. That's so beautiful. I like the way
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about the pageant. I thought that was a nifty fun little thing that you have going on in your life.
Yes. Again, that was a surprise and a blessing from the journey. Sometimes you're just at the right place at the right time. One thing I always do is give back to the community. I've served with women who've been in human trafficking. I've assisted people who've been in spiritual crises and psychological crises. So I was actually awarded a humanitarian award by the city of Chino and the Shia's Foundation Network. So as I was winning that award, the pageant director saw me on stage and was like, wow, you just glow, you're radiant. Have you ever done pageantry? I'm like, no, I've never even thought that was a possibility. But after sitting with her and even sitting with my pastor who knew her well, she was like, no, if she sees something in you, get on that stage. And heck, for me, it has turned into a way to tell my testimony and advocate for women. So I did that within 2 weeks. I just lined up with a pageant coach, and I think it was just divine timing because I got on that stage and I won. And one thing one lady said that was so resonated with me as I was competing, she was like, get on the stage and let God talk through you. Something about that clicked. And I was able to just speak with such confidence and such passion because what I've learned in Tantra has brought me closer to God within. So that was easy to do. And getting on that stage allowed me to talk about my purpose and my platform, which is life and empowerment after a traumatic brain injury. So it has been my own pain that has led to my greatest awakening, where I can not only advocate for myself, but other women living with invisible disabilities.
That is so amazing, so beautiful. Thank you for that. And yeah, what I want to do now is I want to talk about who were you in the past before you had the catalyst that brought you onto the path. Who was Briana's back then?
If I would have told you who am I would like, well, I'm a scientist. I would have just read you my resume. But you know what I was? A woman disconnected from her femininity. A woman who was trying so hard to fight in this world, almost as a man does, who was burnt out. I was a woman who was living in fear, and a woman with unprocessed trauma.
Hmm,
That's who I was before.
thank you for that. Yeah. And so there was an accident you were telling me about, the catalyst.
Yes. Yeah, I was in a car accident where I was left with a brain injury, spinal injury, and PTSD. Um, that accident changed my life. And funny enough, I was with a shaman once who told me, "You'll find one day that this is the greatest thing that ever happened to you." And I looked at him like, "You were crazy. You were absolutely insane." And now I realize it was, because that was the thing that completely broke down all my egoic defenses. I couldn't do anything but go within. I couldn't do anything but spend time with God. And as I, started to heal, and I also found out that through the accident, I also was diagnosed with fibroids. So how I actually got connected with Tantra is I showed up to a womb healing ceremony just to learn more about the womb and meditate. And in that instance, I deeply connected with my now mentor. So the tantric life path wasn't about sex at all for me. It was a path of healing my womb story that got me in there. And I started it unpartnered. So sex wasn't even a part of it at all. But I was able to go through the path of my sexuality, learn the tantric principles, deepen my practice with meditation. It got me into just herbal studies and healing and working with yoni eggs. And yeah, so now I am a certified womb healer and tantra teacher on top of my I am. So that accident led a whole pathway.
That's amazing. Briana, it's I find it incredibly intriguing because now I've interviewed 20, 30 people at this point, and about 2/3 of the people that I've interviewed prior to their awakening have been in some sort of traumatic accident, have some sort of defining moment in which it seemed like life was bleak, potentially coming to an end, including myself.
Mhm.
I had been through just the ringer. I was already in a pretty dark place. My wedding, I went through a divorce, separated from my ex-wife, and I ended up with no family support system, no friends, and I was homeless. I was living out of my truck. I was renting a garage behind someone's apartment and had all my things stored in there. So I was going there on a daily basis to get my things. And one day, upon collecting a few of my things, I was leaving out of that alley and I got T-boned, smashed
Oh,
into a car going probably about 35, 40 miles an hour. I don't know exactly how fast. I just know my truck was totaled. So here I was now completely homeless. And when I came out of that, like I remember the first few hours after the experience, I was just shook up. And over the next couple of days, something just transmuted into me. And I was this feeling of gratitude came over me because I realized it could have been worse. I could have been dead. And as much as I was hating my life at that time, it seemed to me this was a defining moment, and it was sucked and it was horrible. And I no longer had a vehicle, and now I had to take public transportation and ride my bike. I was not able to get my vehicle fixed. Well, what ended up happening there for me was I just ended up spending a lot of time meditating and journaling. And one of my mentors at that time was like, said almost the same thing your mentor told you, that this was going to be a defining moment in your life. And I thought, are you even listening to me? I just told you I'm hurting. I'm in pain. My body hurts. My head hurts. How is this great? That doesn't make any sense. And yeah, it's an amazing thing how pain can cause someone to seek more than what they previously knew. And I just am eternally grateful. Thank you for sharing. I don't want to get too much into my own story. The purpose of this interview is more to get to know you and introduce you to people in my local community. But that's just a little bit about me, and that's really interesting that we connect in that way. So, Briana, you had an amazing awakening.
Mhm.
What do you do now? Now that you are a spiritual guide, what do you do?
Well, as like we can define it spiritually, or we can define it in a 3D way. In the 3D way, I'm a sound healer. I'm a Tantra teacher. I host workshops. But who am I spiritually? A person who is almost like a spiritual responder. I often find people in their darkest moments, when they're their most depressed, people who are on the brink of suicide, and remind them that even though that's seductive, there's a reason why their soul needs to stay here. So that's what I do. I'm love. And I love people when they don't love themselves enough to still be here.
I love that. It's awesome. So would I be accurate in saying that the types of clients that you serve best are those who are maybe on a down and out path, looking for some sort of guidance or healing?
Correct.
Yeah,
Typically people who are at their lowest, just like me.
that's
Also
amazing.
those who have had sexual trauma.
Yeah, a lot of those. Yeah, you're going to help a lot of people, Brianna.
Thank you.
And let's talk about the elephant in the room. I want to address, you are a Black woman.
Yes.
You are the first Black woman that I have interviewed. I don't meet a lot of Black folks in the Tantra community.
Mhm.
So I was excited to learn that you are a Black woman and a Tantra teacher, because there is a whole community of people out there that I'm absolutely positive would be eager to meet you and to see that this path is possible for them as well. So that leads us right to next weekend. I'm really excited for anyone listening. Briana and I are co-creating an event for the summer equinox. And I put a lot of thought into it. I was like, it's the middle of summer. It is the longest day of the year. And the sun is out. Why don't we, instead of hiding in the shadows, because my podcast is all about taking Tantra out of the shadows, why invite everyone to my castle where I bring everybody inside and close the doors? Why don't we go out to the beach?
Yeah.
How much better could we show the world that Tantra has nothing to hide? There's nothing dark or sinister or weird or anything like that. We're going to be on the beach. We're going to be in a public place.
Right.
I'm excited about that. We'll get a little campfire going, and we'll have our ceremony out there. And Brianna, I've had a number of people reach out to me asking questions already. I've been fielding calls, text messages.
Good. I've gotten some too.
That's awesome. I got a text message from one couple, was like, is this going to be a way for me to enhance intimacy with my partner?
Absolutely, but not in the way you think it is. Not sexual intimacy. It's going to deepen your connection with the earth. We're going to be outside on the longest day near the water. We're going to be invoking all four elements and invoking the gift of sound and the harmonics around the ocean. That's actually my favorite place to take people for sound healing. Your first experience with sound healing is the harmonics of the ocean. That's why it's so calming for us. So for me to bring my bowls, to bring my gift and your gifts of connection and touch together on the ocean, that's the greatest gift we could give for this transition of seasons.
It's awesome. So for anyone listening that might want to reach out to you, I'll put your contact information in the text underneath when we post this, but can you just tell us how someone would get a hold of you if they were interested in working with you?
Yes, absolutely. So you can always reach me on my website, www.theloveandlightmovement.com. I have a contact form if you ever need me. I am available via email at loveandlightmovement@gmail.com. I'm also available on Instagram. That's my primary platform, Brave from the IE. Shoot me a DM, shoot me a message. And I'm on YouTube as well at the Love and Light Movement.
Amazing. Awesome, Brianna. I'm so excited. We have let me look at the calendars so I make sure I get that. Got to put the glasses on here. 1 week. It's 1 week from today. 1 week. So yeah, hopefully we get a good group of people, and I'm looking forward to it. Is there anything else you would like to say to our listeners before we close off?
No, just I want to welcome you. Come experience love, unconditional love. That is my hope to give to people through sound.
Thank you, Brianna. And thank you everyone for tuning in, and we hope to see you soon.
Okay.